no, I think knowing your role is very important because then we spend a lot of time debating on unnecessary things.
I personally still think there are specific roles. Like I can't breastfeed.
Right.
I am not built to breastfeed. So that's a role that I will never do.
Learning to be domesticated is very important. It's not a woman's job, it's not a man's job, it's a human being's job. You need to know how to do these things.
I think with me, what I've seen is that this generation is very fast. So these conversations need to happen much earlier. Some of us had them at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think the earlier you can have these conversations with them, the better.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Heart2Heart podcast season 2. I'm here with two very special guests, okay? My very own brother-in-law, Dave. Say hi, Dave.
Hello.
Don't play the shy guy.
I'm very shy.
And of course, the king of podcasts, the king of conversations, Rudy Samuels.
Hello. Hi, Divin.
Hi, I'm so honored
Soda.
that you would take out your time. Can you tell them what SODA stands for?
Soda, shepherd of the atmosphere.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
Okay, we don't want to get into the
You need a
explanations.
t-shirt of that.
But today we're here to discuss a topic that is closer to home because we're talking about home, okay? And growing up Black and African, more particularly growing up Congolese, right? So my first question to you is, what are some of the best memories that you have of growing up in a Congolese household? You know, just one. There could be many or nothing, but just one good memory you have. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Cool. I think it's just being in the space where they can just welcome everybody at any time.
Yeah.
You know, we had family members come over for holidays at any time. So I think those were some of my best, actually.
Yeah. So the sense of community.
Yes, 100%. And also, I went to a Congolese church as well for like 19 years. And that community as well, like your church people becoming your family, not just your family. Because I come from a huge family. So I had even more family members from church, growing up with people, going for sleepovers, playing football. Just the sense of community. The food as well. I really enjoyed the food.
I'm glad you touched
The
that.
music as well. Because my parents came here in 1991.
Wow.
I was born here. My sister was born here. So that Congolese culture could have been lost for my sister and I because my parents were here for so long. But I think the community around us kept us very much Congolese, although South African. So.
Well, I like that. I really like that. I was also going to mention the food. I think for me, my favorite childhood memory is family prayer.
Yeah, that was
And
common
how
fixture.
they would
Mine was
call
Christmas.
you up. They'll call you up at 8 p.m. and then they start the song.
Yes, with the hands. With the hands, yeah. There we go.
And it's always people that don't know how to sing that are leading.
Yeah, that's true.
And, God bless her soul, my godmother, who passed away last year, she would have a rule. Like, she would teach us how to pray, the kids, because we had our own prayer sessions. And if you made a mistake,
Rough.
Wow.
we started from scratch.
Yeah.
Hectic.
So imagine if there are 7 of you, right? And she says, we're not going to call upon the blood of Jesus. And you start calling upon the fire of the Holy Ghost. Ooh. Because of you, we could eat late. Literally.
That's rough. That's like the army.
But great memories. So now let's leave the realm of memories and now go deep into the habits, right? And the cultural norms of where we come from. What are some of the things that you would want to take on, you want to bring into your own household? Because you're married men, right?
Recently.
And there's certain things that you might have seen your uncles or fathers or brothers do that you like in your single days, you were like, oh, I'd love to do that for my spouse someday, or I'd love to raise my children this way someday. So can you take us through that a little bit?
For me, I think it would be the aspect of giving,
Okay.
aka welcoming people, because at home we always had people and the food was never a thing of, oh no, we have to keep because for the rest of the month, anyone can come anytime. Something will come out the fridge, and it will be cooked for the person to enjoy. And just recently, my cousins came over. Two of them. They were supposed to just come and then go, but they're forced to stay. And in other cultures, it would have been awkward, and they wouldn't have been served. But at home with my wife and I, we made a plan instantly and we cooked for them, and there was no regret. So that element of giving and always being welcome, that's something I definitely want to continue until. Yeah.
And even passing on to your own kids.
Yeah, 100%.
The importance of giving.
Yeah, no, I think I second that as well. I mean, I thought I was a giver until I got married. Sometimes I look at my wife and I think she does, and I'm like,
what you trying to say?
Like, well, her giving is next level. I feel like she was anointed for giving. So I think that's very important. Loving people in such a way that we don't just say, God bless you, go in peace and all of that stuff. No, I mean, if somebody is hungry, feed them.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have a 1 rand, if you have a 10 rand, whatever, you give. And I think beyond that also, it's being able to have a conversation with your child and not beat first, ask later.
Yeah, we need to change that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting to the changes. Okay.
So with my mom, I had more of a, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. What happened? It's not you did something, we beat you. No, let's talk. My dad, in the other hand,
he was more of, let the situation talk to you.
Literally, he's like, that pipe will speak to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think now it brings us to what are some of the things that you wish were more common within African households? And it doesn't just have to be confined within the Congolese household, but as Black people, as Africans, because I'm so tired of, people approaching us and saying, but why is it that African parents are so aggressive, in the way that they raise their kids? You don't see that in white households, right? So how do you feel about such conversations?
So firstly, I think correcting a child, disciplining a child is very much biblical. But there is a way to do it that it doesn't hurt your child or break them in such a way that in the long run, they don't know how to, to break through from that. So disciplining part of it, it's very much important. The Bible even says you must use the stick, not literally, but like,
That is open to interpretation,
so,
apparently.
Growing up in my home, my dad was the beating guy.
Okay.
My mom was not the beating type. She was the talking type. But in terms of affection, my dad is more affectionate than my mom is. I don't remember ever hearing my mom tell me I love you. Okay. But my dad will call you chérie, love, he'll give you hugs, he'll tell you I love you after a call. My mom will tell you God bless you. And that's her way of saying I love you. And it stops there. So I think those are some of the things to actually change. Being able to balance, things in the right way. Yeah. Show affection, love, but when it's time to discipline the child, to show them the way they need to go, do it in a loving way as well, so that it doesn't break your child or their confidence in the long run.
I think for me, the African culture is very patriarchal. So it really focuses on the male aspects of things. And being in my own place, before I got to my own place, I'm very grateful that my mom and my sister sort of made me domesticated, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that when I'm in my own place, I'm able to assist with what was generally called women tasks.
Yeah.
Washing dishes, mopping, blah, blah, blah. And I think I would definitely change that for my future generations to say that it's a human task, not a male task, not a female task. That's what I would change. When it comes to affection and stuff, listen, our parents are who they are. They grew up the way they grew up. I appreciate my parents that they understood by themselves that, okay, we can't raise these kids the way we were raised. Yeah. So they switched on their own to becoming more modern, but with what they were taught. And when it comes to affection, both parents are affectionate still today to me and my sister. The whole boyfriend-girlfriend chat, which usually happens when you finally turn 25, 26, with them happen a little bit earlier because they understood the game. They understood, okay, these kids, they're growing up differently to us. They're exposed to different things. Let's catch them before. You know what I'm saying? So, so for me, I'll really focus on the domestication part of if I have a male son. If I have a male, to really teach them the importance of being domesticated. That's what I would change. Yeah.
Okay. No, I think it's really important to already install that type of mindset when they are young, and it's in little things like being helpful and not thinking that you disqualify yourself from certain tasks because of your gender. The topic of gender is a very sensitive one, and I don't want to go too much into it, but at the same time, I think it's also important. Like, what do you think of? There was this huge charade last year about this video that went about the place of a woman is in the kitchen.
Yeah. The plastic farm.
And everybody went crazy over it. You know, there were a set of women that were standing up for themselves, saying that no, we can be anywhere and do anything. And then there were the others who were like, yes, you know, it's the man's job to go out there and do the work, and then we stay home and we receive, right? So how do you perceive that things have changed within our generation today?
I personally still think there are specific roles. Like, I can't breastfeed.
Right.
I am not built to breastfeed. So that's a role that I will never do. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, whilst the kid needs to be breastfed. So I still believe in gender roles, and I still believe in, I believe also now in working together and stuff. But I also believe that there are some things a female won't do, and there's some things a male won't do. And let's stop complicating things. Let's just be relaxed. And most importantly, you got to find what works for your household. You have to find what works for your house. What works in my home won't work in David's home necessarily. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's just my opinion on this topic.
Yeah, no, I think knowing your role is very important, because then we spend a lot of time debating on unnecessary things. I mean, God made you a woman, he made you a woman. God made me a man, he made me a man. But based on what Rudy had said earlier on, you know, learning to be domesticated is very important. It's not a woman's job, it's not a man's job, it's a human being's job. You need to know how to do these things, because if it so happens that you don't get married now, does it mean you're going to live in a dustbin? Because, a woman was supposed to be the one to clean. Does it mean that every salary you get at the end of the month and all your budget goes to take away? No, it does not make sense. If you can get grocery and cook for yourself, do it. But you won't know how to do that unless, you know, from a young age you are taught how to do it. So it takes away from you the mentality of, no, it's a woman's job. No, it's not a woman's job. For a person who wants to be clean, you can't wait for a woman to clean clothes for you. You need to do it. You at least learn how to do it. I mean, I learned how to cook at the age of 9. I didn't have to.
Master chef.
But I enjoyed seeing my mom cook, and I thought, hey, you know, it's a good thing. At the age of 9, I said to my mom, I don't want you to bath me anymore. I started bathing myself. I started cleaning my own clothes at some point. Weekend like this, you're thinking I want to go play. No, come here, bring out all your dirty clothes. You're washing it there. You know, so it's things like this we need to instill. It will help us avoid unnecessary, a woman's place is in the kitchen, a man's place is in the work field and all. Because what happens when you're earning more than I am? You know, does it make me less of a man because you're making more money than no? I mean, we are meant to come together and build something. You're meant to be my helper and all of that stuff. So understanding our God-given roles are very important. I think 100%. That's the basis. Not even what society is telling us, this feminist, that, man, no.
It's a waste of time, those things. Find what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the beauty of communication, right? And communicating with your spouse and even with your children.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, growing up, most of us were exposed to families where you couldn't have hard conversations with your parents. You would get that at school. Or if you were lucky enough at church, right?
Yeah.
Life orientation or
Yep.
youth camp,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But how would you like to change that with your own kids someday? With regards to the hard conversations, so how to discern the type of friends that you want to keep around you, like the value of keeping your body, you know? I mean, growing up, you heard from your parents, don't have sex before marriage. But there wasn't always an explanation behind the value of your temple. It was just an instruction you follow and you swallow. Right. So how would you like to change that with your own kids someday?
I mean, I'd love to not necessarily be my children's friend. I'm their dad. I'll be their dad. I'm not their friend. But in so doing, I want them to have communion with me. I I want them to have fellowship with me.
Sound like God.
Definitely. Because should we, based on roles, should we miss that part as well? It will affect what they get to learn from me. Because if I establish friendship before fatherhood, then they can't draw out from me because I'm their friend. We are the same. So it's establishing, not necessarily reminding them that I'm your father, because the moment I start reminding them, it means I've lost some form of authority over them. It's me being a father to them and having them to come to me as they are, speaking their mind and all of these things. But obviously you teach them, the manner in which to speak. The how is always important, because you can speak your mind, but how you do it, makes a difference. I remember this one time. We went to the shop and I saw a Jordan sneakers, and I said to my dad, you must buy me the word must changed the whole conversation. Yeah. It messed it all up for me, and I never got those shoes ever again because I said must. So, having to talk to them continuously. The Bible says bring up a child in a way they should go, so that when they grow old, they'll not depart from it. So it starts very small. How you even approach them, how you talk to them about things, they also understand that, no, dad doesn't always scream. Dad doesn't scream. Dad talks to me. He talks to me like I'm a normal person. Like, I have a brain and I understand things. I think it's very important for us to do that. But understanding your role as a father, as a parent, it's key to getting them to learn.
Definitely.
I think with me, what I've seen is that this generation is very fast. So these conversations need to happen much earlier. Some of us had them at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think the earlier you can have these conversations with them, the better. Because of how fast because if they won't learn from us, they'll go learn at school. They'll learn from friends.
Social media.
And everything is very much accessible today. You just go on Google Chrome, whatever, you type what you need to type, it's right there. So getting them out of that as soon as possible is key. You can't hide from kids anymore. Everything is out there.
I think to wrap up, I would say even this idea of breaking generational curses, beyond standing in the gap, like in prayer, there are also some practical things that you can do, reflecting like with regards to your own behavior, like how your own behavior reflects in the eyes of others, and how you treat others, and what you're communicating to your children and even your spouse or anyone around you for that matter of fact. So thank you so much for your honesty and vulnerability. Hopefully you don't get butchered for being honest. But if you do, you'll always find refuge in my home.
Oh, wow.
Of course.
But thank you for having us. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Divine Karen, and stay tuned to the Heart2Heart podcast. Until next time.